The Man with the Yin-Yang Eyes. Season 3. Episode 1. After hearing Valentine ask about the devil, both Big D and I turned around in surprise. Aren't all the things that Valentine and we have been through so far are spiritual things related to the devil? I can confirm that Valentine has encountered something quite complicated related to this issue. At first, when I saw Big D's enthusiastic attitude when I learned the whereabouts of the lantern, I was a little hesitant. But Big D said that he would help Valentine settle everything before leaving later. After winking at me, Big D turned to Valentine and said, "You must be in serious trouble. So, if you want us to help you, you have to fulfill some of our requests. If you're satisfied, we'll help. If not, we'll apologize to you." Then, to my astonishment, Big D made a lengthy list. It's all about eating and drinking and asking Valentine to do it for him. Without waiting for Big D to finish his list, Valentine came over and grabbed the two of us by the neck. "Damn fat guy. So what are you calling friends, not helping me but asking for conditions? Now, quickly get into the car and go to the hospital to check the wound. I'll take you to the morgue tomorrow." The two of us idiots got scolded by Valentine for a while. Poor me, I was suddenly spoiled by Big D. Not to mention I had to go to the morgue after that. Just thinking about it makes me laugh. After leaving the warehouse, Big D and I went to the hospital. Fortunately, Big D was not seriously injured, just a scratch on the skin. After dressing Big D's wound, the doctor told us to go home. On the way to get the car, seeing that I looked contemplative, Big D immediately asked, "My injury is not serious. You don't need to be so worried." As I walked, I answered Big D, "Your situation is fine. I am not worried anymore. What I am worried about right now is Jimmy. You see, he always claimed to be weak, but what he did prove otherwise. Hopefully, he can see his master's lesson and give up dark magic. If not, he'll turn into someone even scarier than Jack. I just hope that when we meet again, he will still be our friend." After that, we returned home. Inside the house was a mess waiting for me to clean up. Thinking about that, Big D's face showed a boring look. The next morning, as scheduled, Valentine arrived early to pick us up at the city morgue. Recalling Valentine's attitude before, I think that this case is definitely not that simple. After getting in the car, I asked Valentine briefly about the case, but Valentine just remained silent. With a scowl on her face, I guessed that the case was at an impasse, which made her so upset. After a while, she spoke up and said to me, "Dark magicians are annoying. Meeting one makes me want to go crazy. It's even more troublesome this time, not just a few mages, but there are indications that an entire organization is behind these murders." After a moment of silence, Valentine continued to speak. "In this case, the number of victims is increasing day by day. You have to prepare yourself mentally. It's all horrible deaths. We assume that they were killed to serve a sacrificial ritual of a certain pagan cult. There are many such cults. They all have one thing in common. They worship the same devil." Hearing this, Big D immediately spoke up. "As far as I know, using humans to sacrifice and worship demons, usual cults in Europe. Cults in Asia don't usually do that." After listening to Big D, Valentine immediately confirmed, "It seems that you have some understanding. According to a police investigation, most people in Europe believe in God, but some do not. They only believe in the devil. They believe that only the devil can bring real power to people." Seeing that what he said was approved by Valentine, Big D was very happy. He continued, "I also know that the devil that these people worship is usually Satan, the only one who dares to oppose God and also the ruler of hell. Valentine was quite surprised by what Big D had just said. She continued to speak. I didn't expect you to be interested in this issue as well. Our police investigated that the victims were killed for one purpose: to sacrifice for something we did not know. As for what they worship, we still haven't found out. Hope you can help the police find more information. Along the way, Valentine continued to tell us in detail about each victim's deaths and scenes. Accordingly, some people were skinned, others were tortured in a very brutal way. Soon we were at the door of the morgue. I don't know when Valentine put her arm around my shoulder. She just said hello to Tony, the morgue worker. Seeing Valentine's cordial attitude towards me, he couldn't help but gasp in surprise. It seems that this guy really has feelings for Valentine. Witnessing what was happening, Tony couldn't believe his eyes anymore. Seeing that, Big D immediately proved to be an experienced person, approached him, and patted him on the shoulder as a consolation. Ignoring Tony's attitude, Valentine and I continued to go inside. When approaching the bodies, Valentine spoke to me. The activities of this cult are very mysterious. They often attract a lot of people to join their cult. At a certain point, they will choose the right people to make sacrifices. I tell you in advance to prepare yourself mentally. The condition of these corpses is quite scary. For example, the victim closest to you was completely stripped of his face. Hearing this, I felt a little chill. Now if there is a chance to run away, I will definitely not pass it up. At this time, Big D also approached behind me. As before, he had prepared a gas mask for himself. Seeing that I was still hesitant to pull off the corporal, Valentine stood behind me and said, "You should be brave. It's not your first time going to the morgue. Last time you mentioned that, in Thailand, you had to face a herd of zombie crocodiles. The corpses here can't be as scary as they are." Valentine's words were absolutely correct. Compared to the crocodiles, these corpses were not dangerous at all. But somehow, I still have an uncomfortable feeling. Maybe it's because of my bad impression when I went to the morgue for the first time. It haunts me to this day. After a moment of hesitation, I finally reached out to pull the veil off. Immediately in front of me was the face of a woman, a very scary face. When the towel was just pulled out, Big D immediately went over to take a closer look. Like me, he was paralyzed by the horror of that face. Looking at that face, both Big D and I thought that this woman died a horrible and painful death. The proof was that the fear was still evident on her face even after her death. After a moment of silence, Big D spoke up. "This is definitely the victim of a ritual sacrifice. You must have heard Master talk about it, right?" I had indeed heard my master talk about this kind of Western ritual, but until I saw it with my own eyes, I still couldn't believe it was true. After a few more seconds of hesitation, I finally slowly reached out my hand to touch the scary face. The first feeling I felt was the coldness of the corpse and the slime of the face, all mixed together to create an uncomfortable feeling at all. Gradually, images appeared in my mind. It was a dimly lit room. The only things emitting light in this room were the candles. Over there, the blonde woman seemed to be praying. Look at the layout of the room. Her religion was very strange. While the blonde woman was praying, the door behind her suddenly opened. Then 3 men slowly entered the room. They were all wearing black robes, hats covering their heads and part of their faces, so I couldn't see what they were like. Without saying a word, they headed straight for the woman who was praying. It wasn't until the 3 people approached that the girl noticed, and she turned around startled. At this moment, a man's voice said, "It's time for you to follow us. She is a very lucky person to be chosen. The time has come for you to fulfill your duty." It seems that this girl knows where she will be taken, so she shows fear. she constantly resists the control of 3 people in black. Seeing that, one of them injected something into the girl's neck. I guess it could be a powerful sedative. Soon after, the girl passed out. After the girl was completely controlled, they brought her to the car to take the sacrifice ceremony. The place these people took the girl to was a church located in the suburbs. This church is quite isolated and covered by an extremely large campus, so few people will pay attention to the activities inside. From the outside, it looks like other ancient cathedrals, nothing special. What caught my attention was the statue inside the church. Instead of the usual statues of angels or some saint, unlike other churches, there is a headless angel statue. One of them approached the statue's foot and made a movement like turning something when approaching the statue. Immediately, the next wall moved, opening a door. After opening the door, this person went inside, followed by 2 people carrying the girl. Looking at this secret door, I guess that this is the place where they perform monstrous rituals. What happened next confirmed that my thoughts were not wrong. Behind the door was a long staircase that led down to a cellar. There were already many other believers gathered here at this time. After preparing everything necessary, they laid the girl down on a table. While the girl was still in a coma, one of them approached the girl. In this person's hand was a tool used to peel the face that looked extremely scary. The person slowly inserted the tool into the girl's face, then squeezed it to cover the face. When the other tool pierced the skin of her face, the pain woke the girl up. After finishing the preparations, the priest performing the skinning began mumbling something in his mouth. I guess he was chanting a spell, like the kind of enchantment I used to say when casting magic. After reading it, the priest let out a scream and tightened his grip on the tool in his hand, which caused the skin of the girl's face to split. A muffled scream rang out. The girl's facial skin had been removed. The monk did this very quickly and decisively. Witnessing this scene, I could not help but shudder in horror at the callousness and cruelty of these fanatics. They skin a person while still alive, and there is no pain relief for the victim. Not long after that, the girl also stopped crying and stopped breathing. Although dead, the girl's blood did not stop flowing. That blood was led to the ground by a small groove on the table. As soon as the blood hit the ground, a circle of fire erupted. As soon as the fire broke out, the surrounding monks began to gloom, reading something that sounded like a prayer. Looking at the shape of the circle of fire burning on the ground, I thought it was some kind of spell. The ritual continued to be conducted. The Taoists came one after another to stand around the fire. When the fire flared up violently, the celebrant of the ceremony stepped forward and entered the ring of fire. Immediately, this Taoist's body was consumed by flames. But despite the flames burning around him, the ascetic clenched his teeth and did not utter a single groan. Not long after, in the presence of the Taoists kneeling around, his body slowly changed. An ominous roar resounded. The mantle on the Taoist was torn, revealing the body of an extremely terrifying demon. So the Taoists here completed the ritual, successfully summoning a demon from hell. As soon as the demon appeared, my whole body felt like it was electrocuted. My hand was also thrown from the face of the corpse. Not only did I stop there, but I also kept taking a few more steps back. Fortunately, Big D was nearby, so he caught me. Seeing me like that, Big D kept asking me what happened to make me so panicky. Ignore Big D and Valentine, who are looking at me nervously. I silently recall the feeling I just experienced. It was a really uncomfortable feeling. Last time, when I caught Jack's gaze in the Diary of the Dead, it was just a vague, groundless feeling. But this time, it was completely different. I'm sure this demon sensed my presence. Not only that, but it can also affect my consciousness. Thinking about this makes me break out in a cold sweat. After regaining my composure, I turned back to Valentine. This case is not that simple. We are about to face an extremely terrible force. Those are the demons from hell. Hearing what I said, Valentine was also startled. At first, she also simply thought of doing a mysterious cult, killing people to sacrifice, but did not expect that the devil was real. But with the amount of information I have just obtained, it is not enough to make any further conclusions. I wanted to know the true origins, where their lair was, and many other questions. To find the answer, I told Valentine to wait a little longer. Let me examine the other corpses and then talk again. Hearing me say that, Valentine showed me the remaining corpses. This time, she didn't expect me to do so voluntarily. As I approached the corpses, Valentine continued to tell me that these people were also killed for sacrifice in different but brutal ways. After taking a deep breath, I slowly approached and pulled the cloth over the corpse, also a female. On her body were countless small holes, marks left after being stabbed by many sharp objects. Look at this woman's condition. It could be said that her death was more gruesome than the girl whose face was skinned. Next to the female victim was a male victim. This man's condition was equally dire. His whole body was beaten with whips. Many places were beaten until the skin and flesh were torn, looking extremely scary. Don't want to look at these bodies any longer. I put my hands on both bodies to see what happened to them. The images gradually appeared. The first is the woman locked in a torture device full of spikes. I saw this once when I read an article about medieval torture devices. The man was chained to the wall, and then the two Taoists took turns beating him to death with a whip. Their purpose is to use the blood of these victims to ignite the magic circle, from which they summon demons. After knowing more about the causes of the victims' deaths, I concluded, it can be said that to summon a demon, it is necessary to sacrifice two lives. One made a sacrifice, the other made a bridge for the demon to come to this world. But that's still not the worst. Until now, we still don't know what the demons will do after being summoned. Of course, you can't expect them to go to charity. At this time, Big D also spoke up. Then what are you waiting for? We have to quickly stop those freaks, don't let them harm people anymore. Do you remember the way to get there? Saying that, Big D took off his gas mask while urging us on the road. After hearing me say something about that church, Big D says he knows a place like that. After that, Big D quickly went to the door, and Valentine and I could only follow. By the time he got into the car, Valentine was still doubtful, so he asked Big D, "Do you really know the way where the church is located, so I can call someone to help?" At that attitude of Valentine, Big D only smiled slightly and said, "Don't worry. I'm not sure you police know the roads here as well as I do. As for calling people, there's no need. That church is in a bishop's manor. Basically, you police can't just break in." Hearing what Big D just said, Valentine and I were amazed. How could Big D know such things? Valentine immediately asked Big D for him to explain. Seeing our curiosity, Big D immediately explained, "It's okay, I'm a famous antique dealer in this city. They want to find good things. Of course, they have to come to find me. And Valentine, say you don't need it, but if you can, it's better if you call more people to help." No need for Big D to remind. Valentine already called someone, after hearing Big D tell everything she said to Big D. It seems that Master King knows how to do business too. Don't let me catch your tax evasion tale. After hearing Valentine's words, Big D immediately replied with an unhappy look. We business people also need to live. You police are only good at bullying genuine business people like us. Then Big D left Valentine to call, and he turned to me and told me something about these demons. According to Big D, they are demons from a different culture than us, so there will be differences in defeating them. The point is to find their weak points. At this point, Valentine had finished calling. She turned off the phone and pulled out a cigarette to prepare to smoke, holding the cigarette in her mouth while saying, "Don't worry, I've got someone very special. With this person's ability, I don't believe I can't handle those demons." Hearing Valentine says that, I could only laugh, then turned back to her and said, "This is not the first time you have encountered spiritual problems. There are things that are not so easy to solve." After that, we didn't say anything more, let Big D drive alone. Moments later, Big D brought us to the front of the church. This church is located in the suburbs and on a small pass, so few people notice it. Valentine got out of the car and walked over to the surveillance camera at the gate. She took out her police card and put it in front of the camera and asked to come in to check. But waiting for a long time, there was no response from the inside. After waiting for a long time, the call came out. Valentine reconfirmed his identity and repeated his request. Responding to Valentine was a hoarse voice. "This is a sacred place of worship. We're doing the ceremony. Even if it's the police, we'll have to wait until we're done before we can let you in." This made Valentine quite uncomfortable, but she couldn't help it. Just when she was at a loss for what to do, a priest approached. He went to the camera and said, "I am Father Luca. I need to see the bishop urgently, please inform me." As soon as we saw that priest, Big D and I hurriedly opened the car door and went down. After getting out of the car, I ran up to the priest and called out, "Luca, do you recognize us?" As soon as he heard the call, Luca turned his head. Immediately he was very happy. "It's you too, you guys have been vindicated. I'm so glad to see you. And what are you guys doing here?" While the three of us happily asked each other, Valentine didn't understand at all. She didn't expect that we knew each other before. So the person she asked for help was Luca. There are quite a few stories during our trip to Thailand that we didn't tell Valentine. Luca's story is also an example. We thought that the chances of meeting each other were extremely low, so Big D and I just thought it was just a random friend. We waited a little longer before the gate opened. The four of us got into the car together to go to the church. After getting in the car for a while, Luca spoke to us. "This church is not a simple place. The level of the guard here is extremely high." Luca also added, "The strange and monstrous things here I have long suspected and investigated. So it's not unusual for me to become the target of their pursuit. That's why I had to smuggle a ship to Thailand. Just to get away for a while. After seeing that the situation was calm again, I decided to return to the US. They are a very dangerous threat in the church. Their deeds go against the principles of true ascetics like us." During the conversation, Luca was extremely serious. Suddenly he reached up and pointed straight at the church in front of him. "That's hell, Satan's lair. There the devil is raging day and night. I will use my own hand to send them off to hell, where they really are."